Tiny leaves a vivid mark. I know the angle of the branch. Bend the shape before I chance. Copper wire, gentle tension. Slow corrections, close attention. Trim the tips, keep roots calm. Soul and stone beneath my palm. Small steps, steady hands. Work within the limits. Growth is not a sprint. It's a series of minutes. Bonsai method, bonsai method. Measure space, then let it breathe. Bonsai method, bonsai method. Prune the excess, keep the weed. Bonsai method, bonsai method. Balance, pressure, weight and bend. Bonsai method, bonsai method. Water lightly, watch the drainage. Shift the pot by tiny ranges. Sun and shade in proper doses. Dust away the faded mosses. New buds rising, small and certain. Season turning, silent learning. A living sketch and slow repair. Held together by my care. Slow steps, steady hands. Work within the limits. Growth is not a sprint. It's a series of minutes. Bonsai method, measure space, then let it breathe. Bonsai method, prune the excess, keep the weave. Bonsai method, balance, pressure, weight and bend. Bonsai method, patience, the trend. Patience, the trend. Clip, pause, bend, release, hold, shake, reset, clip, pause, bend, release, hold, shake, reset, bonsai method, measure space and let it breathe. Bonsai method, prune the excess, keep the weave. Bonsai method, balance, pressure, weight and bend. Bonsai method, patience is the trend. Let her get down. Metronome in the corner, clicks like a patient order. Headphones on, I count to 4. Don't reset what came before. Packets flying, tiny letters to the air in careful measures. If it stutters, if it slips, I correct it with my fingertips. Line it up, lock it down. Every pulse becomes a crown. No drifting, no delay. Make the timing obey. Clock sync, bring the beat back into line. Clock sync, everything will end on time. Clock sync, no jitter in the chain. Clock sync, perfectly as the loop is stable. Signal strong across the cable. Watch the bars out, watch the load. Keep it moving, keep it whole. A tiny offset, barely felt. A small mistake that I can melt. Turn the knob, adjust the phase. Find the center of the wave. Line it up, lock it down. Every pulse becomes a crown. No drifting, no delay. Make the timing obey. Clock sync, bring the beat back into line. Clock sync, and on time. Clock sync, contact sheet on the table. Tiny squares, each one stable. I scan the edges, crop the frame. Write the date, forget the name. Silver highlight, chemical hush. Developer stains, a careful brush. Hands a steady, timer close. Hold the paper to the light. Check the contrast, check the grain. Not a memory, not a story, just a process I maintain. Color residue, color residue stays behind when I move on. Color residue, color residue. A trace that lingers and is gone. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue. Magenta, ghost and cobalt hue. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue. Proof the image made it through. Aperture to 8 and steady. Shutter ready, finger ready. Meter reads, adjust the stop. Let the highlights never drop. Try and line a row of prints. Corners curve with subtle hints. I file them in labeled stacks. No drama, just the facts. Hold the paper to the light. Check the contrast, check the grain. Not a memory, not a story, just a process I maintain. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue stays behind when I move on. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue. A trace that lingers, that is gone. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue. Magenta, ghost and cobalt hue. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue. Proof the image made it through. Wash, rinse, repeat. Count the seconds, keep the beat. Underexposed and repair. Find the balance in the air. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue stays behind when I move on. Color residue, color residue, color residue, color residue. A trace that lingers, then is gone. Color residue. Color residue. Color residue. Bench lamp humming, paper flat. Calipers whisper, measure taps. I trace the baseline, stop and start. A millimeter can split the chart. I count the clicks, I feel the gear. You mute the wobble, make it clear. Everything's steady, nothing rushed. Dust off the lens, the metal brushed. Hold still, let the needle settle, let the signal find its place. If the world is slightly crooked, I can square it, I can trace. Fine tuning, turn the dial and tiny steps. Fine tuning, let the noise fall off the edges. Fine tuning, when the numbers stop the dance. Fine tuning, that is when I take my chance. Pocket notebook, virgin marks, graphite smudges, tidy art. Test the tone, align the timing, bring the wandering back to lining. A gentle twist, a patient pause. Every reading has its flaws. No shortcuts, no guessing games, just clean results with honest names. Hold still, let the needle settle, let the signal find its place. If the world is slightly crooked, I can square it, I can trace. Fine tuning, turn the dial in tiny steps. Fine tuning, let the noise fall off the edges. Fine tuning, when the numbers stop the dance. Fine tuning, that is when I take my chance. No fireworks, no headlines, only quiet getting right. A soft correction barely noticed until the output shines bright. Fine tuning, turn the dial in tiny steps. Fine tuning, let the noise fall off the edges. Fine tuning, when the numbers stop the dance. Fine tuning, that is when I take my chance. Fine tuning, with a steady spin, centering then lifting. Pull the wall and breathe it in. Rim smooth, foot trim, slip on, fingers cool and thin. Every curve deliberate, a quiet craft I practice in. Stack the shelves, close the door, heat climbs slow, then more and more. What was soft becomes the finding. That bright controlled fire, kiln fired, crackle pattern, glassy skin. Kiln fired, a new surface settling in. Kiln fired, from raw shape to finished form. Kiln fired, held through every thermal storm.
Glaze drips in a thin line, cobalt edge and iron speck. Brush strokes like a record, spinning circles, no regret.
Cooling back, I wait it out, listen for the pinion sound. When the air turns quiet, I can lift it from the ground. Stack the shelves, close the door, heat climbs slow, then more and more. What was off becomes a finding. That bright control fire, kiln fired, crackle pattern, glassy skin. Kiln fired, a new surface settling in. Kiln fired, from raw shape to finished form. Kiln fired, held through every thermal storm. Open vents, let it breathe. Wait again, then retreat. invisible but built to last. Iron filings make a map, curving lines in perfect rap. North and south in quiet play, pulling, pushing all the way. Feel the feel in the air, though you cannot see it. Move the wire through the space and the meter will read it. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Lines in motion changing fast. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Hold the current, make it last. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Snap to center, shift and slide. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Energy in every kind. Flip the polarity, watch it switch. Small reversal, perfect glitch. Arc of voltage, brief and thin. Then the stable loop begins. I tune the coil, I set the gauge. Keep the numbers on the page. Science turning into sound when the groove comes back around. Feel the feel in the air, though you cannot see it. Move the wire through the space and the meter will read it. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Lines in motion changing fast. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Hold the current, make it last. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Snap to center, shift and slide. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Energy of every kind. Wind it tight, count the turns, watch the needle as it burns. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Yeah, magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Energy in every kind. Graph on screen, a curve in motion. Numbers rise like quiet ocean. Angle vector measured pool. Equations written clean and full. Gyro steady, panels bright. Telemetry in simple lines. A loop repeated, soft and sure. A path that never needs a cure. I count the seconds, I mark the turn. I watch the distance shrink and learn. No guessing, just the math, a steady circle in its track. Orbital period, time that returns on schedule. Orbital period, a rhythm built from gravity. Orbital period, arc by arc it stays consistent. Orbital period, precision you can hate. Perigee, then higher climbing. Silent drift and silent timing. Thrusters wait for one small burn, and the trajectory will firm. I label points and keep the log. No superstition, no fog. Just a waypoint in the sky. Passing over, passing by. I count the seconds, I mark the turn. I schedule. Orbital period, orbital period. A rhythm built from gravity. Orbital period, orbital period. Arc by arc it stays consistent. Orbital period, orbital period. Precision you can hear. Hold the light, hold the arc, follow signals through the void. Orbital period, orbital period. Time that returns on schedule. Orbital period, orbital period. A rhythm built from gravity. Orbital period, orbital period. Arc by arc it stays consistent. Orbital period, orbital period. Precision you can hear. Inbox heavy sorted piles, tiny tasks and numbered files. Stamp the corner, sign the line, date it, clip it, make it fine. Policy binder tabbed and neat, rubber stamp and roll and seed. Every form a little maze, every checkbox sets the pace. Approvals travel slow, but they always travel through. I push the stack forward like a steady engine do. Paper trail, follow where the arrows point. Paper trail, every page becomes a joint. Paper trail, no shortcuts, no escape. Paper trail, I can navigate the tape. Meeting notes and bullet rows, version number, status codes, revision loop, then final draft. Margin comments, half a laugh. Printer coffin, toner low. Fix the jam and let it go. I file the proof, I clear the desk. Finish clean, then start the next. Approvals travel slow, but they always travel through. I push the stack forward like a steady engine do. Paper trail, follow where the arrows point. Paper trail, every page becomes a joint. Paper trail, no shortcuts, no escape. Paper trail, I can navigate the tape. If it breaks, then patch it. If it bends, then stack it. Paper trail, where the arrows point. Paper trail, every page becomes a joint. Paper trail, no shortcuts, no escape. Paper trail, I can navigate the tape. ice, sudden calm, ordering a careful grind. Fragrance open, sharp and kind. Rhymes clear beneath the stream. Measure water, quiet steam. Timer ticking, wooden spoon. Circles drawn in heat too soon. I don't rush the bloom, I let it color through. A slow infusion turns the plain into new. Saffron thread, saffron thread. Swirl and stain the morning gray. Saffron thread, saffron thread. Patience is the secret ingredient. Saffron thread, saffron thread. A golden turn without a word. Saffron thread, saffron thread. Every bite becomes absurd. Skillet warm, a pinch of salt. Pepper cracks like tiny fall. Lemon run, bright oils wake. Herbs cut clean for balance sake. Taste and adjust and taste again. Heat goes low, then low again. Plates align, a final stir. Quiet pride, a gentle blur. I don't chase applause, I chase the right temperature. A small perfection you can smell before you're sure. Saffron thread, saffron thread. Swirl and stain the morning gray. Saffron thread, saffron thread. Patience is the secret ingredient. Saffron thread, saffron thread. A golden turn without a word. Saffron thread, saffron thread. Everybody becomes absurd. Steam on glass, spoon on steel. One more pinch, now it's real.
Sharp in my pocket, compass steady in my hand. Contour lines like fingerprints, guiding where I plan to stand. Boots crunch over gravel, breath counts match the measured pace. Water break the moving, keep in rhythm with the gray. Check the bearing, check the route, read the wind, watch the clouds. Not a race, not a test, just a pattern I work out. Trail marker, hold the line and keep it true. Trail marker, every turn is something new. Trail marker, step by step I learn the land. Trail marker, direction in my hands. Yeah. Switch back then, a clearing like in writing on a stone. Yeah. Sunlight through the branches, a quiet place to be alone. Oh, pack lighter as I go, mind sharper with the miles. When the path goes missing, I can find it by the signs. Check the bear, check the route, read the wind and watch the clouds. Not a race, not a test, just a pattern I work out. Trail marker, hold the line and keep it true. Trail marker, every turn is something new. Trail marker, step by step I learn the land. Trail marker, direction in my hands. Oh, in my hands. Listen, scan the ridge, mark the distance, cross the bridge. Every turn is something new. Trail marker, step by step I learn the land. Trail marker, connection in my hands. Oh, in my hands.
Morning mist on cedar bark, tiny leaves a vivid mark. I note the angle of the branch, plan the shape before I chance. Copper wire, gentle tension, slow corrections, close attention. Trim the tips, keep roots calm, soil and stone beneath my palm. Small steps, steady hands, work within the limits. Growth is not a sprint, it's a series of minutes. Bonsai method, measure space then let it breathe. Bonsai method, prune the excess, keep the weed. Bonsai method, balance pressure, weight and bend. Bonsai method, patience is the trend. Water lightly, watch the drainage, shift the pop by tiny ranges. Sun and shade in proper doses, dust away the faded mosses. New buds rising small and certain, season turning, silent learning. A living sketch in slow repair, held together by my care. Small steps, steady hands, work within the limits. Growth is not a sprint, it's a series of minutes. Bonsai method, measure space then let it breathe. Bonsai method, prune the excess, keep the weed. Bonsai method, balance pressure, weight and bend. Bonsai method, patience is the trend. Clip, release, hopes, breathe, reset. Bonsai method, measure space then let it breathe. Bonsai method, prune the excess, keep the weed. Bonsai method, balance pressure, weight and bend. Bonsai method, patience is the trend. Each one sable, I scan the edges, pop the frame, like the day, forget the name. Sonar outlet, chemical hush, develop her stains, a careful brush, reflection, shadows slowly compose. Hold the paper to the light, check the contrast, check the grain. Not a memory, not a story, just a process I maintain. Color residue, stage behind when I move there. Color residue, a trace that lingers down and strong. Color residue, magenta goes over you. Color residue, proof the image made it through. Happy chart, 8 and steady, shadow ready, finger ready. Needle ease, adjust the start, let the highlights never drop. Try line, a bow of prints, corner scrub with subtle hints. I fall in the label stacks, no drama, just the facts. Hold the paper to the light, check the contrast, check the grain. Not a memory, not a story, just the process I maintain. Color residue, stage behind and then move on. Color residue, a trace that lingers then it's gone. Color residue, magenta goes take over you. Color residue, goofy image made it through. Seconds, repeat, count the seconds, keep the beat, underexposed and repair. Find out balance in the air. Color residue, color residue. Stays behind and then move on. Color residue, chance that lingers then it's gone. Color residue, magenta goes take over you. Color residue, goofy image made it through. Residue. Bench lamp humming, paper flat, calipers whisper, measure taps. I trace the baseline, stop and start. A millimeter can split the chart. I count the clicks, I feel the gear, mute the wobble, make it clear. Everything's steady, nothing rush, dust off the lens, the metal brush. Hold still, let the needle settle, let the signal find its place. If the word is slightly crooked, I can square it, I can trace. Fine tuning, turn the dial in tiny steps. Fine tuning, let the noise fall off the edges. Fine tuning, when the numbers stop their dance. Fine tuning, that is when I take my chance. Pocket notebook, margin marks, graphics, smudges, tidy arcs. Test the tone, align the timing, bring the wandering back to lining. A gentle twist, a patient pause, every reading has its loss. No shortcuts, no guessing game, just clean results with honest names. Hold still, let the needle settle, let the signal find its place. If the world is slightly crooked, I can square it, I can trace. Fine tuning, turn the dial in tiny steps. Fine tuning, let the noise fall off the edges. Fine tuning, when the numbers stop their dance. Fine tuning, that is when I take my chance. No fireworks, no Play dust on the apron. Wheel turns with a steady spin. Centering the lifting. Pull the wall and breathe it in. Rim smooth, foot trimmed. Slip on fingers, cool and thin. Every curve deliberate. A quiet craft I practicing. Stack the shelves, close the door. He climbs slow, then more and more. What was soft becomes defined. And that bright control fire. Kiln fired, kiln fired. Crackle pattern, glassy skin. Kiln fired, kiln fired. A new surface settling in. Kiln fired, kiln fired. From raw shade to finished form. Kiln fired, kiln fired. Held through every thermal storm.
Glaze drips in a thin line, cobalt edge and iron speck. Brush strokes like a record, spin in circles, no regret. Cool it like I wait it out, listen for the pinging sound. When the air turns quiet, I can lift it from the ground.
Stack the shelves, close the door. He climbs slow, then more and more. What was soft becomes defined. And that bright control fire. Kiln fired, kiln fired. Crackle pattern, glassy skin. Kiln fired, kiln fired. A new surface settling. Kiln fired, kiln fired. From raw shape to finished form. Kiln fired, kiln fired. Held through every thermal storm. Open vents, let it breathe. Wait again, then retreat. Kiln fired, crackle pattern, glassy skin. Kiln fired, a new surface settling in. Kiln fired, from raw shape to finished form. Kiln fired, held through every thermal storm. It settles, silent forcing copper petals, coil humming under glass, invisible but built to last. Iron filings make a map, curving lines in perfect rap. North and south in quiet play, pulling, pushing all the way. Feel the fear in the air, though you cannot see it. Pull the wire through the space and the mirror read it. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Lines in motion changing fast. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Snap to center, shift and slide. Magnetic flux, energy in every kind. The polarity, watch it switch. Small reversal, perfect glitch. Arc of voltage, brief and thin. Then the stable loop begins. I turn the coil, I set the gauge. Keep the numbers on the page. Science turning into sound when the groove comes back around. Feel you cannot see it. Pull the wire through the space and the meter read it. Magnetic flux, magnetic flux. Lines in motion changing fast. a curve in motion. Numbers rise like quiet ocean. Angle vector measured pull. Equations written clean and full. Gyro steady panels bright. Telemetry in simple lines. A loop repeated soft and sure. A path that never needs a cure. I count the seconds, I mark the turn. I watch the distance shrink and learn. No guessing, just the math. A steady circle in its track. Orbital period, orbital period. Time that returns on schedule. Orbital period, orbital period. A rhythm built from gravity. Orbital period, orbital period. Arc by arc, it stays consistent. Orbital period, orbital period. Precision, you can hear. Perigee, then higher climbing. Silent drift and silent timing. Thrusters wait for one small burn, then the trajectory will burn. I label points and keep the log. No superstition, no fog. Just a waypoint in the sky. Passing over, passing by. I count the seconds, I mark the turn. I watch the distance shrink and learn. No guessing, just the math. A steady circle in its track. Orbital period. Time that returns on schedule. Orbital period, orbital period. A rhythm built from gravity. Orbital period, orbital period. Arc by arc, it stays consistent. Orbital period, orbital period. Precision, you can hear. Hold the line, hold the yard. Follow signals through the void. Hold the line, hold the yard. Follow signals through the void. Orbital period, orbital period. Time that returns on schedule. Orbital period, orbital period. A rhythm built from gravity. Orbital period, orbital period. Arc by arc, it stays consistent. Orbital period, orbital period. Precision, you can hear. Inbox heavy sorted piles, tiny tabs and numbered files. Stamp the corner, sign the line. Dated clip and make it fine. Policy binder tabbed and neat. Rubber stamp and roll and see. Every form a little maze. Every checkbox sets the pace. Approvals travel slow, but they always travel through. I push the stack forward like a steady engine do. Paper trail, paper trail. Follow where the arrows point. Paper trail, paper trail. Every page becomes a joint. Paper trail, paper trail. No shortcuts, no escape. Paper trail, paper trail. I can navigate the tape. Yeah. Meeting notes in bullet rows. Version number, status codes. Revision loop, then final draft. Margin comments, half a laugh. Printer, coffin, toner low. Fix the jam and let it go. I file the proof, I clear the desk. Finish clean, then start the next. Approvals travel slow, but they always travel through. I push the stack forward like a steady engine do. Paper trail, follow where the arrows point. Paper tag it. If it breaks, then patch it. If it bends, then stack it. Paper trail, paper trail. Follow where the arrows point. Paper trail, paper trail. Every page becomes a joint. Paper trail, paper trail. No shortcuts, no escape. Paper trail, paper trail. I can navigate the tape. Paper trail.
Sharp in my pocket, compass steady in my hand. Contour lines like fingerprints guiding where I plan to stand. Boots crunch over gravel, breath counts match the measured pace. Water break then moving, keeping rhythm with the grade. Check the bearing, check the route, read the wind and watch the clouds. Not a race, not a test, just a pattern I work out. Trail marker, hold the line and keep it true. Trail marker, every turn is something new. Trail marker, step by step I learn the land. Trail marker, direction in my hands. Switch back, then a clearing, light and writing on a stone. Sunlight through the branches, a quiet place to be alone. Pack lighter as I go, mind sharper with the miles. When the path goes missing, I can find it by the signs. Check the bearing, check the route, read the wind and watch the clouds. Not a race, not a test, just a pattern I work out. Trail marker, hold the line and keep it true. Trail marker, every turn is something new. Trail marker, step by step I learn the land. Trail marker, direction in my hands. Direction in my hands. Direction in my hands. Direction in my hands. Pause, listen. Scan the ridge, mark the distance, cross the bridge. Trail marker, hold the line and keep it true. Trail marker, every turn is